Welcome to the Expensive Coins History Channel world of numismatics, where history, artistry, and value come together in small metallic forms. Today's feature is a humble yet historically rich coin, the 1974 no-mint mark Queen Elizabeth II Australian 10-cents coin. Whether you are a casual coin holder, an investor, or a dedicated collector, this episode will take you on a journey through the coin's origin, design, rarity, and its current market value in the year 2025. Let's unravel the story behind this intriguing decimal-era coin. The 1974 Australian 10-cents coin was part of the broader decimal currency system adopted by Australia in 1966, which replaced the pre-decimal pound system. This was a major shift in Australian economic history, and coins like the 10-cent piece played a vital role in that transition. By 1974, Australia was already well into its decimalisation era, and coins had become not only instruments of commerce but also cultural representations of the nation's identity. This coin, although common in circulation, captures a moment in time where the country was maturing its decimal system while still paying tribute to its constitutional monarchy. The coin features the second definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. This elegant profile of the Queen, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, was used across various Commonwealth nations and is instantly recognizable to millions. On the obverse, or front of the coin, we find the right-facing portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This version of the portrait was widely used from the late 1960s into the 1980s and represents a youthful monarch at the peak of her reign. Surrounding the portrait is the legend reading, Elizabeth II Australia 1974, cleanly inscribed in uppercase letters. The reverse of the coin is where Australian heritage shines. It features a lyrebird, specifically the superb lyrebird, a native bird of Australia known for its ornate tail feathers and remarkable ability to mimic sounds. The reverse design was created by renowned Australian artist and goldsmith Stuart Devlin, who was responsible for many of the designs featured in Australia's decimal coinage. The 10-cent coin is composed of copper-nickel, specifically 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a silver appearance and a durable composition. It has a mass of 5.65 grams, a diameter of 23.60 millimeters, and a milled edge. These specifications have remained consistent throughout much of the coin's production life. The Royal Australian Mint, located in Canberra, was solely responsible for producing Australia's decimal coinage during the 1970s. Unlike coins from countries like the United States, which may have mint marks to indicate their production location, Australian coins typically do not bear mint marks if they were struck at the primary mint. This is why the 1974 10-cent coin is referred to as a no mint mark coin. It simply means it was struck at the main Royal Australian Mint. The absence of a mint mark does not inherently indicate rarity. In fact, millions of these coins were produced for general circulation in 1974. However, understanding the minting practices helps collectors differentiate between regular strikes, special issues, and potential errors. Although the 1974 10-cent coin is considered common in circulated condition, its collectability is influenced by several key factors: condition, errors, and packaging. Let's begin with condition. Coins are graded on a scale from circulated to uncirculated and then to mint state or proof quality. A typical circulated 1974 10-cent coin will show signs of wear, flattened high points, scratches, or discoloration. These examples, while collectible for completion purposes, hold minimal monetary premium. However, uncirculated versions of the 1974 10-cent coin are more desirable. These coins maintain their original mint luster, show no signs of wear, and often appeal to collectors building high-grade sets. A step above uncirculated are the proof coins, struck using a special process that involves multiple strikes and polished blanks. Proofs are extremely limited and are typically only available in annual collector sets. Next, we consider error coins. Errors significantly impact a coin's rarity and market value. While the standard 1974 10-cent coin is common, error examples, such as clipped planchets, off-center strikes, or double dies, can command substantial premiums. These minting anomalies are rare, and their value is determined by severity, visibility, and condition. Additionally, mint set coins from 1974, those preserved in official packaging and never circulated, are sought after. Only a limited number of these sets were produced, making high-grade examples of the 10-cent coin in these sets relatively rare. In circulated condition, the 1974 10-cent coin typically holds a value equivalent to face value or slightly above it. A well-worn coin might be worth between 10 and 30 cents to most buyers or dealers. However, in uncirculated condition, values increase substantially. A brilliant uncirculated coin may be valued between 5 and 20 Australian dollars, depending on eye appeal, luster, and absence of contact marks. Certified examples in mint state, especially those graded MS 65 and higher, may command anywhere from $30 to over $100 at auction or through private sales. Proof specimens, especially those housed in original Royal Australian Mint packaging or graded by reputable third-party services, can reach higher values. A pristine proof 1974 10-cent coin could be valued at $100 to $200 or more, depending on rarity and market demand. Error coins, while case-specific, have shown the potential to fetch hundreds of dollars. A dramatic off-center strike or an incorrect planchet error could easily sell for over $200 to an eager collector, especially if authenticated by a grading service. It's also worth noting that the demand for Australian decimal coinage has increased in recent years, particularly among international collectors. This uptick in interest is partly driven by nostalgia, partly by the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, and partly by a growing awareness of numismatics as both a hobby and an investment. Grade matters. A coin in mint state or proof condition will always outperform a circulated coin in terms of value. Consider having your best coins professionally graded. Look for errors. Carefully examine your coins under magnification. Even small minting mistakes can turn an ordinary coin into a high-value item. Protect your coins. Use archival safe holders or capsules to store your coins. Exposure to air, moisture, and handling can dramatically reduce value over time. Know the market. Coin values can fluctuate with demand, condition, and collector trends. Stay informed through coin shows, online auctions, and collector forums. Be patient. Coins like the 1974 10-cent are often long-term holds. While they may not spike in value overnight, their historical significance and collectible nature make them strong candidates for gradual appreciation. The 1974 Australian 10-cent coin without a mint mark may not appear extraordinary at first glance, but as we've seen today, it is far more than a piece of small change. It is a reflection of a nation's monetary evolution, a canvas for artistic expression, and in some cases, a miniature treasure hiding in plain sight. Whether nestled in a proof set, lying forgotten in a drawer, or mounted in a graded slab, this coin tells a story of Australia's past, its place in the Commonwealth, and the quiet legacy of Queen Elizabeth II. The 1981 Australian 10-cent piece featuring Queen Elizabeth II and minted without a mint mark. Though often overlooked as common currency, this particular coin holds a unique place in numismatic history, and its current value in 2025 might surprise you. Let's uncover everything there is to know, from its origin and design to rarity, error types, and market trends that make it so intriguing to collectors around the world. The 10-cent coin in Australia was introduced in 1966, coinciding with the country's transition from the imperial system of pounds, shillings, and pence to the decimal system. This shift was monumental in the evolution of Australian currency. The 10-cent coin was created to replace the old shilling, carrying the same diameter and weight to allow a seamless changeover. The design of the 10-cent coin is iconic and has remained largely unchanged since its introduction. On the obverse side, it features the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, while the reverse showcases the superb lyrebird, a native Australian species known for its extravagant tail feathers and extraordinary vocal mimicry. The year 1981 marked an important production period for the 10-cent coin. During this year, a significant number of coins were struck to meet increased circulation demands. What makes this year stand out is that coins were minted at two separate facilities, one in Australia and another overseas. The Australian Mint, located in Canberra, produced a large portion of these coins. However, due to the high demand, additional production was outsourced to a facility in Llantrisant, Wales. Interestingly, despite being minted in different locations, none of these coins featured a mint mark to distinguish their origin. This absence of a mint mark is precisely what characterizes the 1981 no mint mark 10-cent coin. From a collector's standpoint, coins with mint marks often provide clues about their rarity or origin. In the case of 1981, the absence of any distinguishing mark means collectors must rely on subtle design characteristics, metal content variations, and die differences to identify mint origins, an exercise that demands a trained eye and deep knowledge. Let's take a closer look at the design elements. On the obverse, we see Queen Elizabeth II facing right, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. This portrait was designed by British sculptor Arnold Machin and used on Australian coinage from 1966 until the mid-1980s. The regal pose is both dignified and timeless, reflecting Australia's constitutional monarchy. The reverse features the lyrebird, designed by Stuart Devlin, one of the most celebrated coin designers in Australian history. The intricate feather details and sweeping curves in the tail of the lyrebird make this one of the most artistically significant reverses ever used on Australian coinage. Both designs have withstood the test of time, contributing to the lasting legacy and recognition of Australian decimal coins across the numismatic community. In terms of mintage, the 1981 10-cent coin saw tens of millions of units enter circulation. With such a high production figure, many assume that these coins are extremely common, and in general terms, that's true. However, not all 1981 10-cent coins are created equal. Some show slight differences due to being minted in different facilities, and others are valuable due to unique errors or exceptional condition. Additionally, coins from this year were also issued in mint sets and proof sets. These special versions were struck with higher quality dies and planchets, resulting in sharper details and smoother finishes. These coins never entered circulation and are usually found in pristine condition, often sought after by collectors for their superior quality. Though regular 1981 10-cent coins are considered common, there are certain variations and minting errors that can dramatically increase their value. One of the most notable and mysterious errors is a so-called mule coin, where a 10-cent reverse was accidentally struck with the obverse intended for a foreign coin, possibly one minted for another country. These coins are incredibly rare, with only a handful of verified examples, and can fetch high prices at auctions and private sales. Other notable errors include off-center strikes, double strikes, die cracks, and clipped planchets. These types of mistakes can occur during the high-speed minting process, and while rare, they add significant value when authenticated. Collectors should also keep an eye out for coins with unusual wear patterns, die fatigue, or ghosting, where design elements from the opposite side of the coin subtly bleed through due to die pressure. Each of these anomalies adds a layer of rarity and interest, transforming a simple 10-cent coin into a collectible artifact. The market for Australian decimal coins has grown steadily over the years. As collectors begin to focus more on 20th-century coins, Even pieces that were once considered too modern to matter are gaining interest, especially those in excellent condition or with rare features. Circulated 1981 10-cent coins without errors generally sell for a small premium over face value, particularly if they're in good condition. Prices range from 10 cents to a few dollars depending on eye appeal and wear. Uncirculated coins, particularly those from mint sets, can fetch anywhere between $5 to $20 or more, depending on grading and demand. Proof coins are valued even higher, often reaching values in the $40 to $70 range if preserved in their original cases with certificates. As always, condition is king in coin collecting. A coin graded by a professional service as mint state 65 or above commands a significant premium over a raw, ungraded counterpart. If you happen to own a verified error coin from 1981, the value can range anywhere from $100 to several $100s, depending on the severity and uniqueness of the error. Mule coins and significant striking anomalies are rare and often sold in private collector circles for substantial sums, sometimes into the thousands. For those new to coin collecting or considering whether to hold on to their 1981 10-cent coins, here are a few tips. First, always handle coins carefully, ideally with cotton gloves, to avoid oil damage or scratches. Store them in acid-free holders or coin capsules to preserve their surfaces. When in doubt about authenticity or condition, seek a professional opinion or grading service. Second, always inspect both sides of the coin under good lighting. Look for any signs of unusual wear, doubling, misalignment, or abnormalities in the rim and edge. What appears to be an ordinary coin at first glance may turn out to be an extraordinary find. Finally, remember that every coin tells a story. The 1981 no-mint mark Australian 10-cent coin might seem modest in value, but it represents a fascinating era of production, artistic excellence, and the enduring legacy of Queen Elizabeth II's reign. Whether you're a beginner looking through pocket change or a seasoned numismatist adding to your catalog, this coin deserves a place in your collection, not just for its historical importance, but for the secrets it might still hold. The 1993 no-mint mark Queen Elizabeth II 10 cents coin. While often overlooked, this particular coin carries more history, craftsmanship, and intrigue than most collectors realize. In this in-depth exploration, will uncover everything from its background, production details, and design elements to its current standing in the collector's market in 2025. Whether you're an experienced numismatist or a curious coin enthusiast, this journey into the 1993 10-cent piece might just surprise you. To understand the 1993 Australian 10-cent coin, we need to begin with a brief journey through Australia's transition to decimal currency. In 1966, Australia officially switched from pounds, shillings, and pence to a decimal system. As part of this change, new coins were introduced into circulation, including the 10-cent coin. The 10-cent coin directly replaced the former 1 shilling coin and was struck with the same dimensions, weight, and composition. This helped with a smooth transition, allowing the population to easily adapt to the new system. Over the decades, the design of the 10-cent coin has remained remarkably consistent, a testament to its strong artistic and cultural impact. Now, let's fast forward to the year 1993, a time when Australia's Royal Mint was producing millions of these coins. Yet, within that year's mintage lies a version that continues to intrigue collectors, the 1993 10-cent coin without a mint mark. On the obverse, or front side, we find the regal effigy of Queen Elizabeth II. This version of the Queen's portrait is known as the third official portrait used on Australian coinage, and it was created by sculptor Raphael Maklauf. The image showcases Her Majesty wearing the royal diadem and pearl earrings, a calm and composed expression fixed on her face, capturing both dignity and authority. The portrait is lifelike, detailed, and timeless, symbolizing the continuity of monarchy across the Commonwealth. surrounding the Queen's portrait is the text, Elizabeth II and Australia 1993, indicating the monarch's name, the issuing country, and the year of mintage. Notably, there is no mint mark present, a detail we will explore in greater depth shortly. Turning to the reverse, we are greeted by one of Australia's most iconic creatures, the lyrebird. This highly detailed image of a male superb lyrebird was designed by the late Stuart Devlin, a renowned Australian goldsmith and engraver. The lyrebird's intricate plumage fans gracefully over its head, forming a shape that resembles the strings of a classical lyre, hence the name. The level of detail in the feathers, claws, and surrounding textures speaks to the precision of the minting process. One of the most intriguing aspects of the 1993 Australian 10-cent coin is the absence of a mint mark. Typically, coins bear a small letter or symbol indicating the location of their production. However, for standard circulation coins in Australia, especially during this time, no mint mark was used. All coins were struck at the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra. While the lack of a mint mark is not necessarily rare for a 10-cent coin from this period, what makes the 1993 issue particularly notable is that it exists in a transitional era where collectors are becoming increasingly aware of minting differences, errors, and production quirks. As such, even common traits, like the absence of a mint mark, are closely examined for variations or anomalies. In the case of the 1993 coin, there are some reports and speculation among collectors about small mintage inconsistencies, slightly off-center strikes, or planchet differences that make certain coins stand out. This subtle rarity elevates interest, especially among specialists seeking coins in uncirculated or proof-like condition. Denomination: 10 cents metal composition, 75% copper and 25% nickel, also known as cupronickel mass, approximately 5.65 grams diameter, 23.60 millimeters edge, milled shape, round orientation, metal alignment. These specifications are consistent with most 10-cent coins from this era, making condition and quality the primary differentiators in the marketplace. When it comes to coin collecting, condition is everything. Coins are typically graded on a scale from poor to mint state. For the 1993 10-cent coin, the vast majority of surviving examples are in circulated condition, showing signs of wear, scratches, or discoloration. However, coins that have remained in pristine condition, with sharp reliefs, brilliant surfaces, and minimal handling, can command a significant premium. These are often referred to as uncirculated or mint state coins. In addition to standard strikes, some 1993 10-cent coins were also issued in mint sets and proof sets. These versions are struck with specially prepared dies and blanks, resulting in superior finishes, including mirror-like fields and frosted details. These proof coins are highly sought after and often preserved in protective cases, allowing them to remain in flawless condition for decades. As of now, coins in average circulated condition typically hold a value very close to their face value, sometimes trading between 10 and 20 cents, depending on demand and minor condition differences. These coins are abundant and commonly found in everyday circulation, limiting their value as individual items. However, coins in brilliant uncirculated condition, particularly those graded at MS65 or higher, can fetch between $1 and $3 in the collector market. Mint set examples often trade for slightly more due to their controlled preservation and limited mintage. Proof versions, especially those in perfect condition with original packaging, may command values in the range of $5 to $10. The price can be higher if the coin is part of a full mint or proof set, but here's where things get interesting. If you happen to find a rare error variant, such as a coin struck on an incorrect planchet, a double strike, or off-center, values can skyrocket dramatically. While no widely confirmed error for the 1993 10-cent coin has become legendary, the possibility always exists. Collectors are increasingly interested in such anomalies, with some rare error coins selling for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. In the long term, as the number of high-grade examples dwindles and interest in 20th-century coinage continues to grow, the value of uncirculated 1993 10-cent coins may see steady appreciation. For now, it remains an affordable entry point for new collectors and a foundational piece in any Australian decimal coin collection. The 1993 no-mint mark Queen Elizabeth II Australian 10-cent coin may not appear revolutionary at first glance, but beneath its simple appearance lies a coin rich in history, symbolism, and collectability. It represents an era of stable national identity, a commitment to detailed craftsmanship, and the continuity of a monarch whose legacy continues to impact Commonwealth nations. Whether you're combing through your change jar or exploring the depths of a well-kept collection, keep an eye out for this coin. You may find a simple piece of metal, or you may uncover a coin with surprising value and historical weight. We turn our attention to a classic Australian decimal coin, the 1967 Queen Elizabeth II 20-cent coin. On the surface, it might seem like just another piece of loose change, but underneath lies an enduring piece of national history, and possibly a valuable treasure. Whether you're a new collector or a seasoned numismatist, this deep dive will guide you through its fascinating background, its design features, why it carries no mint mark, how rare it really is, and its actual market value in 2025. So grab your coin albums and let's dive into one of the most iconic pieces from Australia's early decimal currency period. To truly understand the 1967 Australian 20-cent coin, we have to go back a little further, to 1966. That year marked a monumental shift in Australian currency history. The country transitioned from the old imperial system of pounds, shillings, and pence to a decimalized system using dollars and cents. The 20-cent coin was introduced as part of that conversion. It was intended to replace the florin, a silver coin of equal value under the old system. But unlike the florin, which was made of silver, the new 20-cent coin was composed of copper-nickel, a more durable and cost-effective alloy consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The Royal Australian Mint in Canberra took over responsibility for striking these new decimal coins. While some coins in 1966 were also minted overseas due to high demand, by 1967, all production was handled domestically. As a result, coins from this year bear no mint mark, distinguishing them from their 1966 counterparts, which may show small differences depending on origin. The 1967 20-cent coin showcases one of the most elegant and distinctly Australian designs in circulation. Let's begin with the obverse, or the front of the coin. It features a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II in her younger years. This was the second official effigy of the Queen used on Australian coins. She is depicted facing to the right, wearing a royal tiara. The words, Elizabeth II, and Australia 1967, frame her image in an arched design along the border. Turning to the reverse, you'll see a design that has become symbolic of Australian decimal coinage, the platypus. Shown swimming energetically with trails of water circling around it, the platypus is both iconic and unique. This image was created to reflect Australia's distinct wildlife and natural heritage. The number 20 appears boldly to the left of the animal, representing the coin's denomination. The edges of the coin are milled, and its overall diameter is approximately 28.5 millimeters. The weight sits at about 11.3 grams, which gives it a solid, heavy feel in the hand. Unlike smaller denominations, the 1967 20-cent coin was part of the second year of decimal coin production in Australia. By now, the production processes were running efficiently, and the Royal Australian Mint was well equipped to meet the country's currency needs. As a result, the 1967 20-cent coin had a very large mintage. Tens of millions were produced for circulation. Because of this high production volume, the coin was considered common in its time and was regularly encountered in daily transactions for decades to follow. One key feature to note is the absence of any mint mark on the coin. This is important because in 1966, coins were also produced in London, and those can carry subtle identifying differences. But in 1967, the minting was centralized entirely within Australia. This means every 1967 coin comes from the same mint, and none bear additional marks or varieties, at least officially. When it comes to rarity, the 1967 20-cent coin doesn't fall into the ultra-rare category, at least not in circulated condition. Because so many were produced, and because many have survived in the hands of collectors, most of these coins remain relatively easy to find. However, condition plays a critical role in determining value. Circulated coins, which have passed through many hands and show signs of wear, are still considered common. But coins that have been preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition, with no scratches, no fingerprints, and original mint luster, can attract serious interest from collectors. There is also always the possibility of discovering an error coin. These are accidental variations made during the minting process, such as off-center strikes, die cracks, or planchet errors. While no major error types have been officially catalogued for the 1967 20-cent coin, rare minting anomalies do occasionally surface and can be worth significantly more depending on their uniqueness and condition. Now for the part that many of you have been waiting for: what is the 1967 Australian 20-cent coin actually worth in 2025? If you have a coin that has been clearly circulated, shows wear, surface scratches, and dull color, its value will likely remain close to face value, around 20 cents. Some may sell for $1 to $2 if there's mild collector interest, but there is no guarantee. Coins in better shape, those classified as extremely fine, can fetch a little more, typically in the range of $3 to $5 depending on the buyer, but it is the uncirculated and mint state coins where the real value begins to emerge. A coin in uncirculated condition, meaning it has never been used and shows no signs of handling, can command anywhere from $6 to $10. In Australia, that translates to roughly 10 to 15 Australian dollars in today's market. Now, if your coin has been professionally graded and receives a mint state rating of MS60 or higher, its value increases. MS63 to MS65 examples may sell for as high as $20 to $30 depending on demand. Flawless specimens with high mint state ratings can be listed at even higher prices, especially if sold through specialized auctions or to serious collectors. Be cautious, however. Some sellers online may list coins for hundreds of dollars, hoping to attract unaware buyers. But the true, fair market value generally hovers in the low double digits for a high-grade specimen. So, is the 1967 no-mint mark 20-cent coin worth a fortune? Probably not, at least not in your average condition. But its importance is more than just financial. This coin represents a key part of Australia's decimal journey. It is a beautifully designed, historically significant piece of everyday life that holds nostalgic value for many Australians. It is also a perfect entry point for new collectors who want to build a meaningful collection without spending a fortune. Always store your coins in a safe, dry environment to prevent oxidation or damage. Use gloves when handling uncirculated coins to avoid leaving fingerprints. Consider professional grading for coins that appear flawless. It may boost their value and appeal. Stay up to date with market trends, auctions, and reputable coin dealer pricing guides. And finally, always be realistic about what you own. While the 1967 20-cent coin may not make you rich overnight, it could still be a valuable piece in your collection, especially if it's in superb condition. The 1981 no-mint mark Queen Elizabeth II Australian 20-cent coin. At first glance, It might seem like an ordinary piece of pocket change, but beneath its modest surface lies a fascinating history, a tale of international minting, subtle design variations, and the kind of value growth that surprises even seasoned collectors. The year was 1981. Australia's decimal currency system had already been in place for 15 years, and the 20-cent coin had established itself as a key denomination in circulation. Introduced in 1966 as part of the move away from the old imperial system, the 20-cent coin quickly became one of the most commonly used coins in the country. Featuring the image of a swimming platypus on its reverse and Queen Elizabeth II on its obverse, it represented a blend of national identity and royal tradition, but in 1981, something unique occurred. The demand for coins across the country surged significantly. The Royal Australian Mint, located in Canberra, found itself unable to meet this demand using only its own production capacity. As a result, the Australian government made the decision to outsource part of the 20-cent coin production to two additional international facilities, the Royal Mint in Lantercent, Wales, and the Royal Canadian Mint in Winnipeg, Canada. This marked a rare occurrence where three separate mints, located in three different countries, simultaneously struck the same Australian coin in the same year, all without applying any distinguishing mint marks. While the coins appear nearly identical at a casual glance, deeper inspection reveals subtle but significant differences, turning this common coin into an object of study, comparison, and in some cases, high value. The 1981 20-cent coin maintained the classic design established in 1966. On the obverse, it features the regal portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, as sculpted by Arnold Machin. This image, which portrays the Queen wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, became iconic throughout the Commonwealth and is instantly recognizable to collectors worldwide. Surrounding the portrait are the inscriptions of the Queen's name, the country of origin, and the year of minting, Elizabeth II Australia 1981. On the reverse of the coin, the design features a beautifully stylized platypus swimming through flowing water. This design was the work of renowned Australian artist and coin designer Stuart Devlin. His interpretation of the platypus is dynamic, capturing both the grace and mystery of this uniquely Australian creature. The denomination, the number 20, sits prominently above the platypus, bold and unmistakable. The coin itself is made from a copper-nickel alloy, consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs approximately 11.3 grams and has a diameter of 28.65 millimeters. The edge of the coin is milled, giving it a textured, grippable feel, common among high-circulation coins. These physical attributes have remained remarkably consistent throughout the decades, making it easy for collectors to identify and compare coins from different years. Although all 1981 20-cent coins carry no official mint mark, the different production locations gave rise to subtle variations. These are not errors, but intentional differences resulting from different dies, machinery, and production processes used at each mint. For the trained eye, these variations allow collectors to distinguish between coins struck in Canberra, Wales, and Canada. The most talked about and sought after variety is the so-called 3.5 claw platypus. On the standard reverse design, the right forepaw of the platypus should feature 4 clearly defined claws. However, some coins, especially those believed to be struck in Canada, display a forepaw with only 3 full claws and a partially formed fourth. This small detail, often overlooked by the casual observer, is what drives the interest of specialized collectors. There are also differences in the quality and depth of the strike, the spacing of the lettering, and the shape and spacing of the milling on the edge of the coin. Coins from the Canadian Mint tend to have slightly rounded milling compared to the sharper lines found on Australian and British minted versions. These kinds of differences are not immediately obvious, but once learned, they become powerful tools for identification and valuation. While the standard 1981 20-cent coin is not considered rare in a general sense due to its very high mintage, several key factors contribute to its collectability and, in some cases, significant market value. Firstly, the sheer number of variations makes the coin appealing to set builders, those collectors who aim to collect one of each variety from each minting source. A full 1981 variety set is a goal for many collectors, and sourcing well-preserved examples of all three types can be surprisingly challenging. Secondly, error coins from this year have become legendary. One particularly famous error involves coins that were mistakenly struck on scalloped planchets intended for other world currencies, most likely due to a mix-up in the international minting facilities. These error coins feature a wavy, 12-sided edge and are exceedingly rare. Only a small handful have ever surfaced, and when they do, they typically sell for thousands of dollars at auction. There are also known examples of die cracks, cuds, and off-center strikes, which, while not unique to 1981, are still valuable to collectors who seek out error coins specifically. As of the year 2025, the value of a 1981 Australian 20-cent coin depends greatly on its variety, condition, and whether it features any recognized errors or distinguishing characteristics. Circulated examples in average condition still trade hands at or slightly above face value. However, collectors often pay between $1 to $3 for coins in very fine to extremely fine condition, especially if they exhibit known traits like the Canadian claw variation or sharp detail suggestive of a particular mint. Coins in uncirculated or mint state condition command higher premiums. A brilliant uncirculated coin, free of any wear, scratches, or tarnish, can sell for $5 to $10, depending on the buyer and market conditions. Proof specimens from the 1981 Royal Australian Mint proof set, struck with specially polished dies and never intended for general circulation, hold an even higher value. These coins, housed in their original display cases, typically sell for upwards of $20 when complete. Error coins, as always, are in a league of their own. Coins with confirmed planchet errors, striking anomalies, or misalignments can fetch anywhere from $50 to several hundred, depending on the rarity and visual appeal of the mistake. The few known examples of the scalloped edge planchet error are considered elite collectibles, with private sales rumored to exceed $1,000 in exceptional condition. The 1981 20-cent coin has proven to be a staple in the portfolios of Australian coin collectors. It is a foundational piece, accessible to new hobbyists but still interesting enough to keep seasoned collectors engaged. Its multi-mint origin, subtle design differences, and the presence of rare errors ensure that it remains a topic of ongoing discussion in numismatic forums, auctions, and club meetings. As the year's progress and high-grade examples become harder to find in circulation, the coin's desirability is only expected to increase. Coins that were once dismissed as common are now being graded, catalogued, and appreciated for their complexity and nuance. For collectors building mint-specific sets or specializing in pre-2000 Australian coinage, the 1981 20-cent coin is a must-have, particularly in premium condition or with confirmed anomalies. So next time you come across a 20-cent coin, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look. Count the claws. Inspect the edge. Examine the details. You just might be holding a small piece of numismatic history with a big story behind it. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of Australia's most fascinating coins, be sure to subscribe for more insights into rare currency, coin collecting tips, and valuation guides. Drop a comment below if you have a 1981 20-cent coin in your collection or if you've ever found an error coin in circulation. We'd love to hear your story. Until next time, happy collecting, and always check your change.